Friends, foes, and fellow truth seekers. Today, I humbly bid farewell to a persona that brought as much laughter as it did skepticism. Yes, Walker, skepticism. The Oracle. Once hailed as a beacon of foresight, I, as the Oracle, made bold predictions that teetered between genius and complete absurdity. Who could forget my unwavering declaration that McLaren would sweep both the drivers and the constructors' championships? Or my endless podium predictions delivered with all the confidence of a Ferrari strategist in Q3. Mystics and mathematicians alike trembled at my audacity, and rightly so. Even as reality proved me wrong time and again, my confidence never wavered. Sure, Red Bull faced challenges this season between internal struggles, a shaky start, and a lackluster teammate in Checo. Max Verstappen still turned it all around to secure his fourth Drivers' Championship. But I, ever the optimist, still whispered to the universe, Lando still has a chance. When pressed for specifics, I would reply, as great mystics do, the math can happen. Supporters, you were my lifeblood, rallying behind my wild claims as they crumbled under the weight of inevitability. Detractors, armed with cold, hard data, kept me grounded and occasionally embarrassed. Together, you turned my tenure into a spectacle worthy of a chaotic wet race in Monaco. But now, the crystal ball has cracked. My vision, clouded by optimism, has shattered. I retire not in defeat, but with a profound realization that Formula One may not need a mystic, though it definitely needs the chaos that I provided. So, let us toast not to my accuracy, because let's be real, that wasn't much of that, but the unshakable conviction, my relentless chaos energy, and the countless laughs my predictions brought. Congratulations, Max Verstappen, the now four-time Formula One World Drivers' Champion. Against all odds, including Red Bull's own internal dramas, you proved why you're in the class of the grid. Lando Norris, though you suck. Why? Because you made me believe in the impossible and then left me hanging. Next time, please win when I predict it. Just once. For the vibes. Rest easy, dear Oracle. The paddock will never be the same without you.
It's lights out and away we go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Formula One True North, the Canadian Formula One podcast. Here with a full house. We got Drew, Tomas, and as you've already heard from, Ed, our former Oracle, our fake Oracle, as it turns out, who, if you're watching this on YouTube or anywhere else, you can see he also has fake candles behind him. So who knows what's real? Who knows if he's even Asian? That might be fake.
Might be AI.
Might be AI.
Yeah.
Jury's out. But thank you for those opening words. It was a gracious way to end your Oracle ship. And lots of fun. And I'm looking forward to season 2 of the Oracle coming soon, 2025. But boys, we're here to talk about the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Lots to chat about. Max obviously securing the title. Let's jump into it really quickly. Max Verstappen, 4-time world champion. Is this the most satisfying win for him? Is this the most satisfying win for you? What do you guys think?
Yeah, definitely. It was the season that tested Max Verstappen. Like, he himself said that 70% of the entire season, his car, the RB20, was not the most competitive, was not the fastest car. So, definitely this tested his mettle. This tested him as a driver, as a person. His his resolve, and congrats to him, and I have much respect for him after this.
I think that, like if you want to break it down, let's take his first championship in 2021. We would argue whether or not that was his or not, but we'll leave that at rest right there. But ultimately, I think that was his biggest test because he didn't have the fastest car. And I think that, with the way that played out with Mercedes, I think he earned every single point that year. And he did not at any point in time have the most dominant car. And if we put it forward to this year, I think the first half of the season, or at least the first third, they did have the fastest car, and it was far and away winning. I think since then, since summer break, he's had to will that car into any sort of winning position, podiums, or anywhere that he's put that car. But I believe that that this was a nice win for him. I think last year was an absolute cakewalk, and he knew it. But I think this year he earned every single one of those points. And congratulations to Max Verstappen. Good for him. He did a great job. And you know what? This year he did it with a lot more class.
Yeah. So I wish I could say I'm surprised, but I'm not. I am happy for Max. This, as Drew has said, this was a well-deserved victory because he actually had to fight for it to achieve it, and he did. Would it have been nice to see someone else on the podium or world champion? Yes, it would have. But everything he did, he fought like hell, and he deserves it. It was a very very interesting season. There was lots of up and downs. The beginning maybe was a little bit slow, but then it picked up, and congratulations to him. He deserves it this season. Although I'm not the hugest fan of him. Well done.
So, about 3 minutes ago, when I asked this question, I had a completely different answer than I have right now, and that's why I love listening to all you guys and what you have to say. Because Drew, your point about 2021, whether or not he should have won that last race or not, based on rules, etc., like that's another topic. But in terms of probably the hardest championship to win that he's won to date, and in terms of just pure skill and effort, like the most deserving, I haven't really looked at it that way. And maybe 2021 is his most deserving, given how close he was. Looking at this year, I'd probably say he was obviously challenged the most for this one, but he still kind of locked it out with 3 races to go. So I'm not sure, when you look at championships that are down to the wire and fighting for every single point and things like that, I think we were all hoping for that and hoping Lando would kind of rise to the occasion and pose that kind of challenge kind of after the break, but it never got there. Right. So it's still, is this considered a comfortable win for him still? It wasn't down to the last race. It wasn't, he still has a healthy-ish lead. So I'm not sure. As I mentioned, 3 races left. He kind of locked it out, or 2 races left, I guess, and a sprint race. Where does this put him? This can be a larger discussion as well, but really quickly, like, where does this rank Max Verstappen in the list of the greats? If we were to put together a really quick list right now, 1 through 5, would he make the top 5?
And he's not done yet. That's the thing, right?
No. Okay, so where does he rank? Let's go. Let's do a really quick list off the top of our heads. Number
top
1.
Top three are going to be Hamilton, Schumacher, and I think Max is going to land on that top 3. I don't know if he's there yet. I would argue that there's some others that could fight for that right now. You got your Senna, stuff like that, but Max is still young and he's not done yet. But he will be in that top 3. You will put him in that top 3 every single time.
Ed, you got a top 3?
For me, it would be top 4. Wouldn't be top 3.
No, so who's your top 4 then?
Well, top 4 would definitely be Senna, Hamilton, Schumacher, and then Verstappen.
For me, it would be Senna, Schumacher, Verstappen, Hamilton.
You want to fight, bro?
Yeah,
Swear to God.
Somebody who hates and shits on Max Verstappen often. That seems like a confident thing to do, to put him above Lewis. It seems crazy.
Yeah, and he's not a fan of it.
I know, that's what I'm saying. But that shows.
I'm not a fan of Max. I think both Lewis and Max are great, fantastic drivers, but the way, Max showed this hunger the last, couple seasons especially, and I'm not saying Lewis hasn't, he has, but the way Max is just on a whole different level, I think, and that's my reasoning for it.
So hold on. Okay, say that number again. 1 through 4.
Why?
I
don't
just
know.
want to make sure.
I said
He
Senna.
said Senna, Schumacher, Max, Lewis.
Yes,
that was his list.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
I never saw
Okay.
Senna race, bro. I have no idea. I can't. I saw Schumacher race. When I was so I was born in 1987, and there's some people that whether you watch the sport or not, you heard their name. Schumacher was one of them. I didn't really watch boxing, but like Tyson was a name that you heard all the time. Like there's just people that they dominated a sport. I never saw Senna. I was never a part of that realm. And like when I started watching Formula One in a big way, Lewis was the guy on top. And you had Sebastian Vettel was up there, Fernando Alonso was up there, and like those were the guys gunning for the top that were like consistently fighting it out. And that's kind of where I left off, right? So, I didn't even get to see Schumacher race in a big way. Like you saw the odd race or the highlight or whatever on TV, but I never really got to see it. Will he be remembered as a great? You can't deny it. When you look at the numbers, it's undeniable.
So Vettel is somebody else that hasn't come up yet. I know you just mentioned him now, but prior in our rankings, looking at, especially from like a Red Bull camp standpoint, right? 4 championships right now, Max and Sebastian are tied. Does Seb rank up there at all? And let's look at it in terms of just like Red Bull specific, right? How do those two rank against each other?
I think Max is a once in a generation talent. Like I think there's something that Yas beat into him at a very early age that like there's a version of trauma that needs to happen to somebody in order to make them great. And if you guys have learned anything or seen anything about Tiger Woods, like in his dad yelling racist remarks in his ear while he's like putting at 7 years old, there's a version of like grit that needs to go into somebody in order to make them a great. And like the same thing with Venus and Serena Williams, their dad was pulling that same shit. Like there's a version of great that needs to get like ingrained into a child. And I watched that video recently of like, when they were racing karts in Italy and everyone started going inside once it started raining. And Yost was like, no, you go out and you learn how to drive in the wet. And the worse the rain gets, the better you will be at driving in the wet. Look what happened in Brazil. Guy ran amok. Like nobody, he looked like he only had tires on his car and no one else did. It was insanity. Right. So like in order for someone to be a great, there has to have like, there's a piece missing from them. Right. And it's the same thing with like Mike Tyson getting outside of the racing world. Like that guy was in a certain trauma that happened to him when he was younger that just like turned him into an animal. And there's just certain people that will be that. And like, I honestly don't think Lewis Hamilton even has that. I think he will be remembered as better than Lewis Hamilton. I do.
Actually, I would actually talk about Lewis Hamilton because he also pretty much went through a type of trauma, but not coming from his dad because his dad was his actual support system. But everyone else on the paddock he was racing against, racial slurs. He was only the only person of color that actually raced during his season in karting as he made his way up to Formula One. Not coming from a family that's pretty well off, and his dad having to do 2 jobs in order for him to get into racing. So that's it. Definitely, I totally agree with you that Max is a generational talent, and I've seen this once. Another time his Brazil performance. Again, same thing, performing really well in the rain and just like outclassing pretty much everyone. And to compare him to Vettel, like I would say with Vettel, he had a really good car, and I was at the height of Adrian Newey, the V10s, even going into the V8s, I believe. And yeah, it was just for him to compare it to Max when Max is coming out of the 2021 season with Mercedes, like just really killing it. and then a new car, a new design, and coming out of the the Hamilton era. I mean, he is. I mean, I've said this in previous episodes that I can actually compare him to the great Ayrton Senna, because he's just like, he'll either give you a chance to either pass him, or you guys will crash or get into an accident, because he will not give you an inch. And if he sees a gap, he's gonna take it. So I've seen it time and again with Max, and as you said, Drew, he's young. Who knows how many more championships he can actually get? Maybe he can get to the 8th. Not not like Lewis, who's still shy of that 8th championship. But I'm looking forward to his future career.
So every driver, whether it's a Vettel, Senna, Max, whatever, I think they all deserve, their rightful spot on the wall, as to say. A little side note, I'm not sure if you guys saw, Fernando Alonso was recently asked, is Sebastian Vettel's titles equal to Max? How they're 4-4, and essentially Sebastian Vettel said no, or sorry, Alonso said no, they're not, because no one could challenge Vettel because he has such a superior car. But with Max, it's a little bit arguable. But the cars are way more balanced, and Max actually had some challenges too. As basically what I'm trying to say is he deserves it. He's once in a lifetime generational, champion. He has a lot more to go. Not trying to downplay Lewis or anything like that. He's a great driver, but what Max has, and he's not done yet. So there's I think we're gonna see more of him, and probably gonna get a 5th and a 6th from what if he's continuing to go that way.
So a couple of follow-up questions. First question: if Max never wins another championship, does your opinion change?
That is a fantastic question. I think it would. I'm going to be truthful.
If he's
I
stuck
think
at
it would.
4.
If he's stuck at 4, and somebody like an Oscar Piastri or Liam Lawson or Franco Colapinto, one of these young guns, comes in and starts winning, could Max be forgotten? I don't think so, but I think he would very quickly have his name removed out of that greatest of all time conversation. I think Max needs to stay on his trajectory in order to cement that place. I think Lewis is cemented there. I think Schumacher is cemented there. And I would argue Vettel's probably cemented there, even at the 4. But I very much think that the way things are now, you'll be forgotten very quickly.
And I'm just asking this question because I'm wondering if, these reactions are because he's like the shiny new object, right? And we're all kind of like in awe of like what he's been able to put together the last few years, and it would just be interesting to kind of have this conversation a year or two from now to see what he's been able to do.
Well, Walker,
right?
I hope Formula One True North is around in a year or two, because I would love to have that conversation. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we will. I'm predicting it.
All right.
Well, why would you say that? Now you jinxed it.
We're done.
Yeah, it's over now. No.
Based on his.
Anyway, back to that question. I think he will be still a champion that will not be forgotten, because I already have the thought in the back of my mind that, and he said this multiple times, that he's not going to be like Fernando Alonso at 40 or 42 or whatever, and staying in Formula One. Like, he's not going to live his life in Formula One. And with, the new regulations coming soon, new drivers coming soon, and possibly another team coming in for 2026, I might even see him leaving the sport and going to another sport in general. Like, there's always Le Mans, there's always Indy. He might try to go for the Triple Crown, try other motorsports, and for me, he will still remain as the legend that he is, and I don't think he will be forgotten. Also, for the fact that he is in the era of Formula One becoming mainstream. So a lot of people will know him. A lot of people will remember him as the champion of Formula One, a 4-time champion. So I think his longevity in terms of being an infamous Formula One champion or part of the GOAT discussion in Formula One, he will remain for years to come.
I kind of want to circle back to Drew, what Drew said. Why do you think, why don't you think that Max has cemented his name just like Vettel or Schumacher, comparing to Vettel specifically 4 and 4? Like, what makes you say that? I'm just really, really curious on your thought process in that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think the way that sports moves now and the way news changes and the way things are built up and forgotten about very quickly in this new landscape of social media. Like, how long ago were we constantly talking about Christian Horner, getting handsy at a Christmas party and like possibly getting that's just gone. It's not a discussion. No one talks about it anymore. And how long ago were we talking about whatever, Tiger Woods cheating on his wife? You know what I mean? Like, we got short memories these days. And unfortunately, I think for somebody like Max Verstappen, I think Ed brought up a great point, and I didn't really think about that part, but Formula One got popular in the mainstream, let's call it since 2017, 2018, when Drive to Survive came out, and I think Netflix, timed with COVID, really blew up Formula One, especially because Formula One came back first as a sport that was on TV very quickly. And I think that, to Ed's point, I think that he might have some legs there in terms of, Max cementing his name because people saw Max winning when they first started watching Formula One. So that, I think, is the only other valid point. But I think going forward, it's very hard to be remembered as a great now. Like, I think before it was a lot easier because folklore existed. And it's like, oh, you remember Schumacher? He was crazy. And it's like, today people have the newest of the new, the shiny new toy, you know what I mean? And like, I'm guilty of it because like, I'm all of a sudden super stoked about all these young guys on the grid. I'm already over Max Verstappen. I got Lewis Hamilton dolls all over my office here, and like, love him or hate the guy, I'm almost over him. You know what I mean? The only exciting thing about Lewis Hamilton right now to me is the fact that he's going to Ferrari next year, and I think he's going to look good in red. That's it. You know what I mean? But like, I'm on to Franklin Colapinto. I'm on to, Oscar Piastri. Like, I'm so excited for these young guys to get on the grid because I want a new person to cheer for. Yeah. Just my opinion.
And just like Thomas, I guess to your point, you're making the assumption that Vettel has been cemented as one of the greats. And I don't necessarily know that. I'm not sure if he has that longevity once his generation of fans, die.
Exactly.
Who's talking about like Fangio, right? Or who really talks about like Alain Prost anymore?
Exactly.
The commentators and guys who are like people who are really, really, really ingrained into the sport. But beyond that, like, they're relative nobodies to the majority of people.
So
like
you're
Damon
saying,
Hill.
Whatever. So you're saying even like Schumacher, even, Vettel, even Max eventually.
No. What Walker's saying is like Schumacher has this thing that even myself, like, I didn't watch him race, but he has this thing that just keeps him around.
And the Michael Jordan effect.
Yeah, he's also the top 2 most winning drivers of all time.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I think you have. So I think when you are kind of in the upper echelon of your sport, like, obviously Lewis at this point, right? Or Schumacher, right? They hold rarefied air. But when you're kind of in the 3-4 championship group, which there still aren't a lot, but there's more, right? You become forgotten very easily. Senna, like, I don't want to be roasted for this, but I'm pretty sure if Senna was still alive and he just had 3 championships, no one would be talking about him, right? He died tragically, and that's part of his lore, and that's part of the story, and that's part of his legacy, and that's why maybe that's why people still talk about him, because
I kind of love that about him, that he's dead.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of it, right?
Yeah,
and it's part of this guy who was in his prime, and he was racing, and he was feisty, and he was fiery, and he was winning, and then he was gone.
Yeah,
right.
And I know, I'm with you.
That's part of it.
Yeah, I'm with you. But like, look at someone like Fernando Alonso. Like, would you put him in that cat? Like, he's only a 2-time champion.
Yeah, he is.
And we're saying like only 2-time champion, but yes, like would you put him in that category? Like,
Honestly,
is
I
he
think
forgettable
Fernando
in a couple
Alonso
years?
I think Fernando Alonso's a better driver than Sebastian Vettel. I think he's proven himself more well-rounded. Like he's gone to other sports and won, and like done the rally thing, done the desert dunes. He's gone all over the place, and like I think he's just a racer through and through. And to me, I would put I'd put Fernando Alonso in front of Sebastian Vettel.
And
And like he's not even winning.
Don't forget, he beat Michael Schumacher twice.
There you go.
That's how he got his 2 championships. He was going against the GOAT of Formula One. So I agree. Like, and for each and every, going back to each and every driver, going back all the way to Fangio, all the way now to Max Verstappen, it only goes into what effect they brought into the sport, what milestone, what shockwave did they give to the sport that made it infamous, that people talked about it, and the news picked it up, and everyone was like, "Wow, that's crazy." So I believe like they have to have that effect.
I think Max has that.
Yeah,
I think Max has that effect. I honestly do. I honestly
don't
do.
know if he has it yet though. So to your point, Ed, I think that was a really great way of putting it, right? All these legends, they add some ripples to the sport, which are still rippling, right? It's like you drop a rock in a pond and those ripples just continue and continue. I don't think Max is there yet. Not at 4. Because he's in a group of other people that are, I don't want to say forgettable, but who have been kind of not forgotten. You know what I mean? People have moved on. Let's put it that way, right? And I think when you look at like a Schumacher or you look at a Hamilton or you look at a Senna, they left ripples in the sport in other ways. So,
yes.
All right. Just waiting for the fucking Max Verstappen army to just destroy us.
Roast us in the comments.
It's good for the algo. Whatever. Bring it on. You know who we never talk about? I don't think we've ever said his name once in the however many episodes we've done. And it's telling, even though this is a Canadian Formula One podcast, is Jacques Villeneuve.
Yeah.
He should have picked a less hard name to pronounce, and I think we might have been doing it a little bit more.
Speaking of forgettable champions, have we talked about him at all? Ever?
Not
Has
even
he ever come up?
Nope, not even almost.
Zero context. Nope. I just thought of him because I thought about like Alonso and Schumacher, and then there was obviously Villeneuve when he won, and he ran Schumacher off the road. Anyways, shout out to Jacques Villeneuve. That's his son,
though. That's his son. Is that Jacques Villeneuve or is that
Gilles Villeneuve?
Oh,
No.
yeah.
No,
you're right.
Jacques.
You're right. No, you're right. My bad.
Yeah.
I mixed it up.
Oh,
Gilles is the dad. Jacques is the son.
Gilles is the likable one, apparently.
Yes,
that's what I hear.
Yes,
Yeah.
Enzo Ferrari had a hard on for him.
Did he?
Yeah.
There you
He's
go.
like the only non-Italian person that like ever stayed at like this ranch house that he had out by the Monza circuit.
Did you learn that in that movie Enzo? What was it called?
No, I didn't.
What was that Ferrari movie called?
It sucked. It was called Ferrari.
It was called Ferrari. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wait a second. I thought Lewis Hamilton was also going to be living in Enzo's house. Enzo Ferrari's house while he's in Maranello.
Maybe that's where it came up. I think that's what. Maybe he was the only other person to do it since Gil did.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
All right.
Everyone loves Canadians, man. You say what you want. We're a pretty likable bunch.
I agree.
Moving
on.
I
speak for myself. I don't know how Canadian you fucks are. This guy lived in Lithuania until yesterday.
Doing his best Canadian impression.
Yeah.
Hey, where are the glasses, by the way?
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh my God, yes.
Haven't seen your eyes in forever.
I know.
There we go.
All right, that's better. Thank you.
Okay.
Something was off. I just couldn't put my finger on it. I was like, something is wrong. Like, I was wondering, is it like the sticker on your hat? Is it I'm not really sure, but.
Well, I mean, it's been 2 weeks, so, you know, you kind of forgot how I look, I guess.
Just wasn't used to seeing your eyes. All right, so Max won. You know who didn't win? Lando.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Sorry, Ed.
No, it's all right.
Lando
Still
did
hurts.
not win, and Lando didn't win anything. They weren't really anywhere this weekend. What happened to McLaren?
That is a great question. What did happen to McLaren? Big ups. I don't know if you guys watch the international feed of the race, but big ups to Zach Brown for just like owning the fact that their guys weren't doing so well. And like if that was Christian Horner or Toto Wolff, they'd be like, no, this is what we're doing. We tried to do this. He was just like, yeah, we just don't have it this weekend. Everyone else is way faster. So go Mercedes. I was like, what? To say that on team radio and like across the world, like good for you, dude. And he's like, we need Mercedes to take away all the big points from Ferrari right now for this constructors championship. And so he's like, yeah, I'm really cheering for Georgia this weekend. So, I big ups to him for owning it, but I don't know what happened because they were on a different trajectory and the last couple of races have just been no bueno for the Papaya team.
Well, it was the weather. Actually, it wasn't just McLaren, it was the rest of the field, really. But yes, like I guess out of all of us here, I was the only one that stayed up for the race at 1 a.m. because I'm Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, like the entire race was just like, what is wrong with you, Lando? What is happening? And the entire time I was like, are you gonna try to take it to Max? Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Max was P5 and he was P6. And first 10 laps, nothing. Like, absolutely nothing. And Piastri, again, also nowhere to be found. And just, like, the Mercedes guys were just on a different level. Ferrari tried to bring it at the start, but, like, they lost it, I think, 3-4 laps in. Like, Leclerc tried to take it to George, and yeah, like the tires just weren't doing anything. It was either graining or there's no grip. So they felt like there was no connection between them and the road. They felt like the car was floating. So yeah, lucky Mercedes. But yeah, Lando, my gosh. The past few races, it felt like he's back to his own old self that I'm just gonna drive. I'm going to try to win. Lando no wins. Norris is back.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
honestly, I think the McLarens just kind of gave up on their hopes and dreams. Once they saw the start of it, they're like, "That's it. There's nothing left for us. Like we're out. We're not even gonna bother." I think they just called it early quits. But no, they were not performing well, nowhere to be found. And I think after the start, how the start went, they kind of started to feel that and see that they don't really stand a chance. And I like I said, I don't know what happened. I guess they just kind of gave up and they're like, okay, it is what it is. We're done for the season. There's no way to recover, and they didn't even bother trying. That's what it looked like to me.
Just straight up, they were just crushed.
Yeah, peace. I'm out.
Ultimate
crushed.
devastation.
So, I mean, it wasn't great, obviously, for Lando in his Drivers' Championship. It wasn't great for McLaren's Constructors' Championship either. They limited some of the damage because Mercedes took away the big points, but Ferrari closing the gap. I think they're, 26 points back? And 2 races and a sprint race left. Now we're heading to very, very different tracks than Vegas. So we'll see how that affects them. But Edward, I'm going to turn to you.
Yeah.
You still got that crystal ball there somewhere?
It's cracked. I told you.
It's cracked.
It's cracked.
It's cracked. Okay, look through the crack. Look through the crack and tell me what you see for the end of the season. McLaren or Ferrari?
God.
Give it a good shake.
That's an 8
Let's
ball.
see.
That's probably what it is. Come on, let's be real.
That's the one.
That's the one. There you go.
That's the one.
Okay,
Okay, let's use it. Yeah, shake it right now.
Okay,
What does it
okay.
Ask the
Okay,
question. You
like-
ask it.
Is
For everyone listening to this and not watching it, he has
I'm
one of those
shaking it.
1990s 8 balls with the little thing when you turn it over and it's got like a 8-sided piece underneath it with that blue liquid. So he's shaking it right now. And
Is Ferrari going to win the Constructors' Championship? Survey says, ask again later.
Yo,
The
that was your
told you
crystal
it's
ball,
back
wasn't
the
it?
answer.
I told you it's broken. Let's try one more time.
One more time.
Will Ferrari win the Constructors' Championship? Without a doubt.
Wow.
Wow.
Without a doubt.
Well, I'm going to say
Juan
there is a
Carlos,
doubt.
That's for you.
There
That's
is a
Scuderia Ferrari of Toronto. That is for you, Juan Carlos. That is for you.
There we go. Okay, so we have Ferrari coming in first place in the constructors. Do we think that is McLaren going to mount much of a challenge, or are they done? Like to Thomas's point, are they just like wind out of the sails, got nothing left, or do you think this is just it kept being talked about how Vegas is such an outlier?
Can
of
we
a track
touch
with the
on that part
temperatures
really
and with the-
quickly?
Yep.
Let's touch on that very
Yep.
quickly, because like we talked about the build up to Las Vegas. We talked about what our original thoughts were, what happened and transpired last year, and what we were hoping for this year. Did you guys get out of the race what you wanted to this year? Like, were you content with how this race played out in terms of like, let's talk about like the weather, the fans, the show, the race itself, the results? Like, were you guys okay with this?
You know what I felt like I was watching through the practice sessions, qualities, race, even the race? I feel like I was watching like a really bad reboot of like Mad Max, right? It just looked, the scenery of the race was just, it felt so desolate and so industrial. And you didn't see any fans from like the track
No.
view. All you saw were just like these like barbed wire-esque kind of fences on either side and concrete and the occasional light. You know, we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago, I think, Drew, why they don't have it during the day and the timing of it. And that's because it would just look like a pile of dog shit during the day, right? It barely looks passable at night because of the lights. But like cars look great under the lights, but just in terms of like the overall vibe of it, I liked the race itself, but I didn't like the setting in which it was being held.
I'm with you. It didn't hit for me. Like it looked sad. It looked really sad. And like it just, some of the tracks, like when you go to Spa, when you go to Baku even, yeah. Like what's another good one that I like? The Red Bull Ring. Like there's something alive about it. Like there's it's got an energy that's like you can't put words to. And
Well, you can see people.
Yeah, there. Well, that's a good help. Yeah, like they were specifically avoiding showing the grandstands because it was showing how empty it was. Because when you saw all the personal photos from people that were the 25 people that were actually in the stands when they were posting on Instagram and stuff, the stands were empty. And that's not a good look. And like, yeah, you had a few celebrities and stuff there and whatever, but like Vegas in November sucks. It's cold. And you know what, boys? I'm not sad we didn't go, because I would have had to pack a winter jacket to go to Vegas. And that's confusing. My brain cannot handle such things. And I don't know. I think there's a future for Formula One in Vegas? I think they've put too much money into it not to let it work. I think it's too big to die. But I think they need to switch something up. And I don't know if somewhere on the calendar they pull it a month or two earlier, because September in Vegas slaps. It's still a crazy city. The summer parties are almost over. The big DJs are still there. The pools are still open. They need Vegas with energy. This whole like 2 degrees Celsius in Vegas, people wearing winter jackets in the paddock, it's not it.
No, I agree. And I said it last episode that this is just a money grab. They just wanted to capitalize on the the infamy of Formula One right now with North America. And what more by bringing it to Sin City, where everyone like visits, most of the time. And on top of that, like everything you guys have said, I don't know if you noticed, and if you get a chance to go into F1 TV and do a replay of the actual last part of the race and the awarding ceremony. Normally, you would hear people be like shouting, it's loud and everything. It was silent. You can't hear cheering. You can't hear people. You can't hear, like when Max was waving to the crowd, you don't really hear that much people. So it kind of felt like, you're right, not a lot of tickets were sold, and maybe they had fillers in there, people to sit down for free and just like start clapping and whatnot just for the heck of it. They weren't really fans of Formula One. Yeah, we're just here, we're making it look like, a lot of people did attend the event. And yeah, I'm going to say again that, yeah, it sucks, but the racing in general, which I was purely focused on, really held, to its grandeur. Like, you have Mercedes winning, you have Max Verstappen winning the drivers' championship, you had all the fights, Leclerc getting pissed off at his team and getting pissed off at Sainz, Colapinto crashing, and yeah, like, that was for me the highlight of everything, just the racing, which is, I guess, what we're watching it for. But the spectacle in itself, gross. Just like Vegas, gross.
Just like Miami, just like Vegas, it feels a little bit scammy, honestly. I agree with you, Drew. The atmosphere just looked really, really depressing. I'm not sure if you guys noticed or saw the video where people essentially were going up and down the escalators to get a glimpse of the track, because apparently if you stop, it's loitering, you get a ticket. So they were just doing that apparently like a lot. And the way they're like blocking everything off, it just seems very, very greedy and money oriented, which is, it's kind of expected. It's Vegas and all, but I think they're pushing it over the top. It's just not a good look. And for me, the only thing that saved was the race. That was fairly interesting. Lots of battles happening, and Sylvester Stallone waving the checkered flag. Everything else, just kind of like meh. I expected more from Vegas, and this was pretty disappointing.
Can we talk about for a second Terry Crews doing the post-race interviews with the drivers?
Cringe.
Mega
cringe.
I love Terry Crews.
So do I.
I love that guy. He just seems like he's just happy to be there, like the nicest guy in the world. I really, really like him. I'm more mad at like Liberty Media and Formula One for putting him in that position.
Yeah.
Yes.
and not arming him with any questions. Like, if you're gonna
Or
put like a celebrity
context or anything.
Exactly. Like, he's there as a fan. Like, I think he's a fan of the sport and he's a fan of Max and he's there and he's excited. That's great. But if like you're gonna have him do the post-race interview where Max is crown champion and you have like this epic race, you as the producer need to give him some fucking cue cards. Like,
I agree.
Give him something to do, because it's not his fault. It's their fault for
Definitely
putting him in
not.
that position. And he had like some nice things like, hey, nice to meet you, man, like being all Terry Crews like, and then he turns to Jensen Button to ask the actual questions. And I think that was just poorly produced. And
Yeah,
I'm
he
not
felt
mad at
out
you,
of
Terry.
place.
I'm not mad at you,
Not
Terry.
that.
I'm mad at F1 and Liberty Media for putting you in that position. It's not fair.
No, giving him 2 left feet and ugly fucking shoes.
Perfectly said. You know who we haven't talked about, whose name we have not said at all? Well, we've maybe said it once, but we haven't actually given it any attention. Any guesses?
Lance Stroll?
No.
Oh.
No.
No, I don't know. I don't know. But I'm excited to see where you're going to go with this.
The winner of the race, George Russell.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
He's had like no love this episode. Like, I think we mentioned the fact that he won. Maybe, I'm not even sure, but we went straight into like the whole Max championship thing. Anyways, George won. There you go.
Kudos
Anything
to him.
else?
That was a great race. He did great in qualies. Like, he clearly had the superior car, but those first 4 laps, like, Charles was giving it to him. He was not letting that go, and George earned every second of that. Listen, I'm a huge Mercedes fan. Everybody knows it. I've said it numerous times on the podcast. Like I said, I got their shit all over my office here. I got their gear. I wear it. I'm still struggling to love George Russell. I'm struggling to love him. I like him. He's a good driver. He's not a great driver. He's a good driver, on the better half of good, maybe goodish, but
Future world champion, good?
no, not even almost.
No.
Not even almost. I think, you know what? I want to say Kimi Antonelli might be, but like I think I'm just on the hype train because I love Toto Wolff so much that I believe in what Toto Wolff believes in. And I think if he has that much love for someone like Kimi Antonelli, I think there's got to be some validity to it. But I'm not there yet. And anything I've seen of Kimi has been mediocre at best. But like you can expect that from a young gun coming in and driving an F1 car. I don't know. I'm all over the map here, boys. I'm loving these new rookies. I'm pumped that there's 4-ish rookies if you want to count Lawson as a rookie. And I'm pumped for these 20-something, young 20-somethings just absolutely running amok next year.
You know what, Drew? I think your problem is you've lost your North Star. Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes has been your rock.
Mm-hmm.
It's been all you've known since you've kind of like become a fan of the sport. And now that reality is eroding and you don't like you're looking for something to grasp onto.
I am.
Like, is it Lewis in red? Is it Antonelli with the silver arrows? Is it George just because like I gotta force myself to like him?
There was a brief moment where I was on the Fernando Alonso Aston Martin train because they were looking good. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm desperate. I'm desperate for.
You're just grasping.
I am.
So I think you just gotta sit with it. I think you just gotta sit with it. You gotta be patient. You gotta let the season ride out. And you know what? It will come to you. It'll come to you, my friend.
Thanks, Daddy.
Love it when you call me Daddy. All right, gentlemen. We got Qatar next week. You know what? I'm going to save this for next week because I'm just going to go on another rant, and I don't think we have time for another rant. But the fucking F1 scheduling, like, how do they go 3 in a row from Vegas to Qatar to Abu Dhabi and then have a 2-week break between Brazil and Vegas? I don't understand. Anyways.
But before we close out the episode, let's do everyone a favor and plug all of the socials. If you haven't yet, please follow F1 True North. We got Instagram. We got TikTok. Check out the YouTube. If you're not watching our stupid faces on YouTube, please go check it out. Like, subscribe, share, do all that fun stuff. It helps the algorithm. Things have been popping lately since we've been extra controversial on this show. And, and you can find us on Spotify and all your podcast platforms. And if you're up for some really cool Formula One talk, we have a Discord channel. It's lots of fun. Everybody's in there talking F1 all the time. Come check it out. The link's in the show notes.
Drew, before we sign off, do you want to give them a quick teaser on the December 3rd episode to keep on listening to us and who our special guest will be, or
No.
too soon to say?
Yeah.
Too soon to say?
No. Yeah. It's not too
Okay.
soon to say. You just got to keep them listening, because if we give them all the goods now, then they're going to choose not to listen. No.
Gotcha.
We got to keep this.
Gotcha.
We got to
Okay.
keep our mystery guest a mystery. But we do have somebody who is currently in Abu Dhabi racing on the F1 track. So let's just go with that.
There we go.
Alrighty.
Stay tuned. Gentlemen, there's only one way to end an episode like this.
Oh,
Now that
yes.
we're all back together, it's time for Name That Sponsor. Playoff Edition. I don't know why I'm calling this Playoff Edition. I do know why I'm calling this Playoff Edition. It's because we have 3 races left, 3 weeks left in the season. Well, two now, technically. So the game has moved into overtime, which now means every right answer is now worth 3 points.
Oh,
Anything
no.
is possible.
So let me ask
Oh,
you this.
no.
Yes.
I've been working my ass off all year. And here we go. You know what? Let's not do that. And let's go into, because we still do Formula One True North episodes, regardless of whether or not there's a race. So we
Yeah, but the
technically
game
still
has to
have
end somehow. The game has to end somehow. No, triple points. Don't be scared.
Okay.
Are you scared? Is that
Yeah.
the problem?
No, I'm not scared of
Are you
anything.
scared? I think you're
No,
scared.
I'm not scared of anything. I'm scared of those
Anything's
sunglasses
possible.
he's got on. I can't see his beady little eyes.
Who knows what he's looking up right now?
That's it.
So the way this game works, I'm going to name a sponsor. You have to tell me the car that it's on and what that company does. Really simple. 3 points for every right answer. So Drew, you can either cement this today. You can actually like bury these guys, or Thomas can make a comeback and just Actually,
Or Drew could just forfeit and, make it fun.
No. That's not fun. Fun for who?
Fun for him.
For me and Ed.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You know what?
I
Even
don't
if even if Thomas got every single question right at 3 points per question, he would still only be 2 points ahead of Drew.
Oh.
So just to
Doesn't
recap,
matter if you win a race by mile or by an inch. A win is a win.
yeah, but this isn't a win today. Anyways, the point is,
Easy, Vin.
there we go. So Drew, you have 24 points. Ed, you're second with 15, and Thomas, you have 9. So, first sponsor is Medallia. Medallia.
I'm going to say VCarb and accounting software.
Aston Martin automotive parts.
They are on Red Bull, and they are like a SaaS company. I don't know fucking what the hell they do.
We can't accept SaaS as an
Okay,
answer.
like an HR thing. Maybe they're like an employee software.
Ooh, close. Drew, I think you're gonna get that point.
Am I close?
Medallia is a pioneer. Yeah, Medallia is a pioneer and market leader in customer, employee, citizen, and patient experience.
Come on.
I think HR.
On what car? On what car?
Yeah, that is.
On McLaren. 3 points for Drew.
Points, boys.
You got. I think you got those points. I'm gonna give you the employee software.
Okay,
HR.
let's get it.
Wow, signs of a champion. See, a champion isn't scared. Champion just like runs head first.
Winners win, boys. Winners win.
Winners win. All right. Next up, Stitched. STICHD. Stitched.
Clothing brand and cake steak Sauber.
That was wildly confident.
Yeah. I would say also clothing brand McLaren.
I'm going to say apparel brand Alpine.
So, Stitched, we make exceptional bodywear, legwear, swimwear, and fanwear products partnered with global brands like Puma, Tommy Hilfiger, Levi's. So I think they just actually produce all the gear for everybody, and they just slap their label on it. So we'll get points for everyone across the board, and they are with Aston.
Oh, did anyone get that?
Oh.
No.
No one got Aston, eh? Okay,
No one got Aston. All right. Last sponsor is, hold on one second. How the hell do you say this? Bruch Ruger. BRUTCH. No, sorry, BRUTSCH. Ruger. RUEGGER.
Bruce Ruger.
Bruce Ruger.
I'm going to say Haas because it sounds German and German driver. But what they do, I don't know, food company, something with.
Let's say fragrance Red Bull.
I'm going to go with the Germans at Mercedes, and I'm going to say they're like an equipment and tool manufacturer. Seems like a logical answer.
So Bruce Ruger is on Steak Sauber, so no points there. However, they make tools.
How?
They make tools. I was
Bruce
surprised.
Ruger.
I thought
Wait, you guys
they'd
don't have
be
any Bruce Ruger tools in your fucking tool? I didn't know that.
Industrial tooling.
Oh, shit.
There you go.
I was right on point. I said equipment tools.
Yes.
Fuck, that's fucking bang on. Ha! That was a
Drew.
full-on guess.
Cementing his lead. 9 points. Ed and Thomas following up with 3.
You guys are all in big
Total
big
scores
trouble.
right now. 33 for Drew, 18 for Ed, and Thomas hitting double digits with 12.
Okay.
Thomas just did the dap, guys.
There we go.
Oh, that's not good.
All right, boys. This has been fun. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Don't forget to check out the socials, Discord, all the links in the show notes. For Drew, Thomas, and Ed, I'm Walker, and this has been Formula One True North, the Canadian Formula One podcast. It's okay. Messed that up. No problem.
That's all right.
Oh,
We'll be
good.
back next week to do it again.
It's lights out and away we go.